Welcome to the Cardinal Report, your weekly 30-minute look inside the world of North Central College athletics. I'm Justin Zipser. We have a jam-packed episode coming your way, so thanks for stopping by. Later on, we're joined by the softball team, which is hosting Division III Super Regionals this weekend against the 13th-ranked University of St. Thomas of Minnesota. Then lacrosse joins us to wrap up another season and another step in the right direction for the young program coached by Jenni Kapanen. But first, let's recap what the rest of the athletic stable did over the past week or so. Baseball wrapped up a fine season last weekend in the CCIW Tournament. The Cardinals won 3 straight elimination games heading into a final showdown with Illinois Wesleyan, a team that NCC beat 4 times during the season. But the magic ran out. The Cards dropped the final game against the Titans 8-3 in their first CCIW tournament appearance since 2011. The team has been rewarded with 4 all-CCIW selections. Outfielder and third baseman Sam Klein and pitcher Chris Singh are first-teamers, while outfielder Joe Paparone and pitcher Ben Cruzan are second-teamers. Outdoor track and field continues its slow march toward a D3 national showdown in Delaware, Ohio, with more fine performances from both the men's and women's teams. The women, for instance, have moved up 5 spots to 13th in the nation in the latest United States Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association Team Computer rankings. The team currently has 7 athletes in the top 15 of the nation in their respective events, headlined by throwers Lena Baker and Ebony Stallworth. Baker is 3rd in Division III in the hammer, while Stallworth is 5th in the shot put. The USTF-CCCA says the men are ranked 4th. The Cards hold 3 of the nation's top 5 times in the 10,000-meter race: Johnny Crane, Troy Kelleher, and Roger Klein. The 4x4 relay team of Deontay Hackler, Mustafa Oloye, Zach Kirby, and Derek Nelson rank 6th. Both the men and women host the Gregory Invite this week. The athletes have one final chance to improve their scores or times. Keep it right here. Softball and lacrosse join us next on the Cardinal Report.
Yes, ready. Let's go get it.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Thanks for sticking with us. North Central head coach Jim Kulawiak kicks things off for us on this episode of the Cardinal Report. Jim, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about a fantastic season that you're still playing in right now, heading into Super Regional. It was a fantastic win over Luther College this weekend to wrap up regionals, and now you're in Super Regionals for the first time. Really, this is the first time anyone has been in Super Regionals for the D3 level. Kind of give me a preview of what's going on with the team heading into this weekend.
Well, I played this past weekend probably as good as you've played possibly all year, with the exception maybe of Florida. Mm-hmm. The defense was tremendous, and if you can play good defense, you're going to be in every game. And I think the players realize that. The last few weeks we struggled a bit, and I'm sure the weather had something to do with it. But you can't use that as an excuse, because it's the same for both teams. Hopefully we've gone through our rough patch and we can play pretty solid from here on out.
You mentioned that Florida trip, and earlier in the season you played University of St. Thomas, your opponent for this weekend, a 4-3 win. I know there isn't a lot of, transition from that game to what you're going to be experiencing this weekend, but what did you learn from that game that maybe is helping you scout this weekend's contest?
Well, there's still some things we have to take a look at, and we will look at that game, but you can't put all your eggs in one basket. I'm sure they may have had a personnel change here and there, and we had a couple players out at that time. So you can't go solely on that. They're a traditional powerhouse. Have won national championships before. Their coach is one of the best in the country. So we're going to have our hands full.
And last weekend, in the 2 weekends ago technically, in the CCIW tournament, two losses to get balance from that. How did you get the team rallied from those tough losses into this win here against Luther?
It wasn't easy. We had some difficulty. I think we were all down. They certainly were. The thing that is difficult, but that you have to try to take a moment and break it down and realize the first game we got beat, we were up 1-0. We had a couple of base running miscues, and then we lost on a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 6th. Mm-hmm. Had we won that game, everything could have changed. Instead, now we went into the second game with Carthage a little bit down, and they were really ready for us, and they took it to us. And sometimes those things are going to happen.
North Central is a regional champion, but it wasn't easy considering, as we talked about, an uneven performance a week earlier in the CCIW tournament. In this week's What's the Word, we hear from a couple of players about how the team kept its head up through the losses to get where it is today.
We had a lot of talks about instilling confidence in ourselves again. We kind of got it kicked out of us last weekend, but I think he just pushed to believe in yourselves, believe in your teammates, and it was a lot of talks, a lot of long talks about it, but they helped. And we would have goals that we would set for each other.
We talked a lot about our mental game. We wanted to make sure that we came in and we were fired up and ready to go. It's kind of hard to come back from a tough losses at the end there, and coming back we needed to keep our mental game up and play with intensity, that kind of a thing.
You know, I know Coach always believes in us and he always knows that what we're capable of, so that was really motivating knowing that he knows as well as we do that we are capable of so much more. And I think we really banded together well as a team, holding each other accountable and saying, hey, we're better than this. We know we can do better than this, and we're capable of so much more.
So much of the reason why you look so good at regionals was your pitching, and it really was fantastic. Just tell me a little bit how proud you are of that staff, and maybe Andrea Starr in specific, because she was 3-0 in regionals and named Most Outstanding Player.
Andrew did a heck of a job. She got ahead of the hitter. She fielded her position well. She competed. The thing is, when you look at the final score, everyone really focuses on that. But when you're there were a lot of moments in those games where key pitches were made with runners on base that had to be made, and she did the job. Really happy for her and really pleased with her performance.
The team overall had to kind of go through maybe some challenges because there was that 4-hour lightning/rain delay right in the middle of that finale against Luther. What did you do during that 4-hour break? How'd you keep the team loose, or maybe it was the team itself keeping itself loose?
They were very well focused. They did a nice job amongst themselves, staying together. You're right, though. We had momentum going, and that break actually favors the team that it was on the downside at the time. We stayed outside. I think they were ready to play. They just were waiting for the word. Mm-hmm. We actually got rushed inside about 45 minutes prior to the final okay to play again, because there had been some high wind warnings. Mm-hmm. So, but again, the team did a very nice job, and they deserve all the credit for that.
That's a good point, the fact that if the momentum could favor the team down, because you scored 4 runs in that top of the first. You head into a rain delay for 4 hours after, right between the bottom of the second and the top of the third inning, and you came out there. I mean, is that something that you do? Is that something the coaches, or your brother, for instance, the players, to keep that momentum throughout the game, even after that kind of delay? I
mean, you're walking through the dugout and you're talking to people 1 or 2 at a time, just trying to remind them about certain things. They're intelligent. They know what's going on. They're looking more for something that maybe you may have picked up that you can relate to them that might be helpful. Mm-hmm. In terms of the mental side of it, they've heard pretty much all the cliches before. And they knew, I think they wanted it very much. They wanted it very badly, and that's another key point.
Awesome. Obviously, you're going to want this weekend badly as well. We wish you the best luck. It's going to be a tough contest, but we appreciate you stopping by and making time for us.
Thank you so much.
Keep it right here on the Cardinal Report. More softball is coming right up.
Hi, my name's CJ. A few years ago, my father became seriously ill. I did what I could do before he passed, but it took its toll. I lost my job, my house. I'm getting back on my feet, but I don't know when there'll be food on the table. How'd I do, CJ?
We could be twins.
Well, cousins, maybe.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
We're back on TCR. We're now joined by a couple of NCC softball players that are making waves for the program. We have Kayla Antle here on the right and freshman Brooke Kehoe on the left. Guys, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
All right, Kayla, we'll start with you. I mean, it was a fantastic weekend, like Coach talked about, maybe playing your best softball that you have all year. If there's anything that you can pinpoint from your view on the field, what is it about this team that is clicking so well right now?
I think it's just our team camaraderie. We've put a big focus on team goals recently, and specifically like winning every inning, and that's really helped us to focus just on one batter and one out at a time, instead of looking at it, more big picture.
And I guess the other thing is just having fun out there. When I talked to you after a random Milliken game earlier this season, you just said, playing's the fun part, playing's the easy part. What can you say about the way you guys are playing and just having fun out there?
Well, it's always fun to win. That always makes things, a little bit more fun. But, more than that, it's just having fun with each other and taking out, the pressure part of it and the stress. It's a game, and it's fun to play.
And Brooke, over to you as a catcher. You've been kind of catching, I guess, for lack of a better term, a wonderful pitching staff this season, calling fantastic games on your end. What's it been like with a new set of pitchers as a freshman, and what can you tell us about the talent level that you're catching?
They've really helped me transition easily, and they've made it very easy on me overall. And they understand like the little things that I need to fix, and they help me out and key point everything. And in between innings, we talk as to what needs to be fixed, what doesn't, and they've made everything easy for me.
And this is a pretty veteran squad, so what was it like coming in with a team that really had itself established, in terms of friendships, people knowing what other people are doing on the field, that kind of stuff? How was that like playing and getting into that starting lineup as a freshman this season?
It was I have a lot of pressure, but most of the upperclassmen, they talked to me, settled me down a little bit, and made sure that I was comfortable and helped me get to know each other and everyone's weaknesses and strengths. So they made it easy for me.
It looked like the transition has been going very well so far. We've been talking about the game, so let's see it. Highlights of NCC's regional win over Luther College right now. Welcome to Pella, Iowa. North Central there after grabbing an at-large bid for the Division III Regionals. After beating host Central College on Friday, then Washington University on Saturday, Cards can wrap up a trip to Super Regionals with a win against Luther College. We don't have to wait long for some action. Top of the first, North Central pitcher Andrea Starr at the plate with runners on first and second. North starter Becca Gervin would like this pitch back. Starr lines it into center field. Lead runner Seth Portillo is in for the game's opening score. Center fielder Miranda McKay ends up throwing the relay to the Luther dugout, so Kirsten Tinkoff is given home as well. 2-0 Cards. Later, runners on the corners for Vlasta Manja. She pops the ball in the shallow right center. Starr easily scores from third, and Manja tries to stretch this into a double. Not so fast, says Sarah Nelson, but still 3-0 after the opening frame. NCC threatens again in the top of the second. 2 runners on for Kayla Antle. She puts down the bunt. Paige Lobdell makes the pickup but has to eat the ball. Bases loaded, nobody out. Portillo up next. All she has to do is get out of the way after this wild pitch. Kelsey Hain, the pinch runner, makes it 4-0. Gervin gets out of the jam without any more damage. One thing that both teams can't get out of is the less than desirable Mother's Day weather. First, it's lightning in the area that delays the game, then rain. Nearly 4 hours later, we're back on the diamond. Things looking up for Luther in the bottom of the fourth. Elise Miller to the plate. She sends a screamer into center to give Luther 3 straight hits, but the runners are held to load the bases. Still 1 out. Down 4-0, lots of pressure on Paige Lobdell. She doesn't get great contact on this pitch, but she puts it into the Bermuda Triangle. Tinkoff can't go anywhere with the ball. 4-1. A few minutes later, bases still juiced with 2 gone. Nice piece of hitting from Kayla Hatting. Through the infield goes the ball. Miller scores. 4-2 NCC after 4 innings. Aside from that troublesome 4th inning, Starr is really tough to hit for the rest of the game. Top of the 6th, she leaves Miller fanning at air. 2 outs, bottom of the 7th, Katie Whelan, the only thing standing between North Central College and a regional championship. The comebacker appropriately is handled by Starr for a 1-3 groundout, and that's all she wrote. 6-2 your final score. NCC shakes off a poor showing in last weekend's CCIW tournament to grab its first regional crown in 13 years. We had our cameras there, obviously in Pella, Iowa. We heard you guys in the dugout basically for the entire 3 or 4 hours, dancing and singing, all that kind of crazy stuff. How does that speak to the level of friendship that you guys have?
We took the keep the energy high approach, and it worked out really well for us. We were really excited about that game, and we wanted to keep playing, and the energy was just there the entire time, and nothing could stop us.
And looking at the box score and looking at how you guys played after the rain delay, that's definitely evident. Brooke, you guys played University of St. Thomas earlier this season, talking about with Coach about how the fact that it's not a huge barometer of how they're going to come at you this coming weekend in the best of 3 series. But looking back on that in Florida, that game against the Tommies, do you remember anything specific about that game?
It was a tough game. It was a very close game, but I believe we need to hit more, and I know that we can hit their pitchers better than what we did. And we showed this past weekend that we can hit better and come together as a team, and we need to keep our momentum up and not let them break it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, the fact that the offense has been playing much better this week compared to last weekend in the CCIW tournament, yes. What helped you flip the switch there?
We did different hitting drills, and we concentrated a lot on the little things that we had to do, and we helped each other out as much as we could, and we had great focus all week to help us.
And Kayla, watching you this season, we've seen probably 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 or 6 even, where you bunt yourself on. What is the key to the perfect bunt single?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Reading the defense is huge, and also being able to place it. You know, I work really hard on during practice, picking out one spot on the floor where I want to place bunts. But reading the defense is huge because everyone by now knows that I can bunt. So it's just, picking the right times and the right places.
And such a good offense to learn from with Kirsten Tinkoff, who we spoke with after the game against Luther, Amanda Walker as well. What can you tell us about the way those two are hitting the ball? I mean, averages near 400 on the season.
They've been being great leaders, and they have shown us what we can do in situations when we're down, and they've picked us up. And we just need to keep picking each other up. If someone strikes out or gets a bad call, we need to keep picking each other up.
That's good perspective. With that type of mindset, I'm sure you guys are going to play fantastic this weekend. We wish you the best of luck, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
We're taking a 30-second timeout, but keep it right here. We're joined by the lacrosse team and wrap up another successful season next on the Cardinal Report.
Naperville News 17 is your hometown news source, and not just on television. Visit our website, nctv17.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter, or like our Facebook page. And if you have a story you think we should cover, email us at newstips@nctv17.com. Naperville News 17, committed to building and celebrating community.
Welcome back, North Central Lacrosse head coach Jenni Kapanen on the couch now. First of all, Jenni, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So you wrapped up the season not too long ago. Another loss in the conference tournament to Augustana. I mean, it's just such a good team, the Vikings. Still undefeated, still playing in the National D3 tournament. What makes the Vikings so tough year after year?
I think they just have great chemistry. They clearly have a great offensive set. They're persistent, they're young. I mean, I think they got a lot of components, but I think it's really just their offense that is really making a difference right now.
And obviously we want to focus on your team as well. Let's talk about your season overall, another fantastic year, another step in the right direction for this program. What's the maybe 1 or 2 things that impressed you the most about this year's squad?
I think just kind of how the first years bought in, just how they had a chance to contribute right away. A lot of times first-year players kind of come and look around, but we had a few girls who stepped it up right away, and I think it was pretty eye-opening for them to be in the semifinal, and that was also a good test for some of them, but I think that would definitely be one piece, but then also the second piece was just how welcoming the upperclassmen were towards the first-year students, and really kind of adjusted to a big freshman class.
And those older women on the team that have been around for a couple years, have gone through this type of process, really had fantastic years. Gina Fisher, Rebecca Haupt, Jamie Legner, the list goes on and on. What can you say, maybe speaking to those players a little bit more specifically about what they brought to the team this season?
Well, just having a strong sophomore class that is not acting like a sophomore class was huge. I even forgot at times that they were only sophomores, and I kept telling them, it's not going to be an out for you, but I think, again, they played like veterans, and then being able to still rely on some of the seniors. Leah was out for a while, but I mean, her games kept getting better. Jamie was huge for us in our defense this year. Rachel's transition from defense to midfield was big. Mallory ended up really improving as the season went on, and then of course Sandy in the goal. So it's just really the mixture of the youth and the veteranship.
And maybe talking a little bit about what Rachel Halp and Sandy Statitis had to do, switching positions essentially. Sandy playing other than goalie last year, and Rachel more of a defensive player last year. How pleased were you in the way that they transitioned very smoothly into their respective new positions this season?
Yeah, it was definitely smooth, especially for Rachel, and I expected that to be pretty smooth. She's that good of a player that even last year we could have had her play more offense, but we felt that we needed her more in defense. But still kudos to her for having the mindset. I had the capacity, but also the mindset of I want to win, I want us to win. And there were just days when you could just feel that she really just wanted to step it up for the whole team. And then with Sandy, I don't want to say we did not have expectations for her. I think the expectations kept going up as the season went on, but also for her to not have played in that position ever before, it was just magnificent to see how well she battled and helped us over the season.
Definitely a lot of good on the team this season, maybe none more so than what Gina Fisher did, who set the single-season goals record. Really, as a team, you guys put up a ton of goals, setting the team record with 220 this season. Looking at what Gina brings to the table, really does it all. Defensive Player of the Year in the MWLC, all-region first-teamer. What can you say that really hasn't been said about what Gina Fisher did this season?
What I really want to highlight is just her drive and her desire to win. That's really what sets her apart from most of the other girls. And I'm not saying that most other ones don't want to win, but she's one of those that if you come across her in a dark alley, you better look out because she's got that killer instinct. But she also had a chance to learn to channel her emotions a little better this season. So just her evolving leadership is something that was fun to watch, and we certainly look forward to seeing more of that next year.
Well, again, it was a fantastic season. We always enjoy talking to you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks so much.
Don't go anywhere. More lacrosse coming your way right after this quick break.
Today is Saturday.
60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. Get ideas. Get involved. Get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
Welcome back to the Cardinal Report. NCC lacrosse player Kassie Whaling is with us to kind of wrap up the show. We appreciate your time. Thanks for stopping by, Kassie.
Thanks for having me.
So wrapping up your first season with North Central, I mean, just kind of give me an overview of how it went. Obviously a very successful season for the team and for yourself personally.
Yeah, I think the transition from high school to college can be a little scary, especially doing sports, but the team definitely welcomed all of us freshmen with open arms. So I think that made learning all of the new plays and strategies of college sports a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because, you know, every time we talk to Coach, he really praises the upperclassmen, even the sophomore for that matter. Sophomores, just about how welcoming and how well they transition players like yourself into the family of sorts. But I guess one of the other parts that's interesting is the physicality of the college game compared to the high school game. How was that transitionally for you?
So basically we have like a thing we call fall ball. We start that fall term, and I think that kind of puts you in the mindset of like how your training and season's going to go. So that was a little different in high school, but essentially like learning, I think having that fall ball allowed us freshmen to get to know the team a little better and then ramp up into like the winter training and then full-on season, which was really nice.
And something else that Coach talked about was the fact that you got to get a little experience in the postseason, in the MWLC postseason. Next year transitioning to the CCIW, so getting a little experience of that MWC for the last time and for the first time. So tell me, what was that like playing in the postseason?
Definitely a little nerve-wracking. I think the pressure was definitely there, but I think it's a good challenge for anyone on the team to go through. And I think that's definitely it was a good step for any player to move on, especially moving into a different conference.
So now that you know a lot about the team, you've been with the team for a full season now, the team will be back just about in earnest in full next season. What are the kind of expectations that you guys have transitioning from a very good season this past year to next season?
I think as long as we keep taking what we've been working on in practice, learning plays, different concepts with our defense and offense, I think what we had this season is really going to improve with the years to come. It was amazing how we would start like the beginning of the season, especially in California, and we didn't really know how the players were going to work together. But I think just watching our Augustana game and our games towards the end of the season progress, and we like put it out of the park, I think.
I touched on this earlier, but the fact that you're going to the CCIW next season, a couple of new programs in the CCIW. So while you have the continuity of your teammates, you're going to be playing some new opponents next season. Have you thought about that and how that might impact next year?
I think it's going to be a bigger challenge. We might not have the like the film that we would have with other teams, but I think it's going to be a good challenge. We're not going to know what to expect, but I think you can learn a lot from not having the like previous knowledge of the team. So.
And you personally had 17 goals, which was tied for 5th in the team, 12 caused turnovers, which was second on the team. What do you want to work on, maybe on a more personal level for next season?
For me, my defense always hasn't been the best, but I think especially coming to this team, I've learned a lot more as far as like midfield transitions and slowing the other teams down. So for me, definitely working on the defense, whether it be right on the 8 or in the midfield, I think would be the biggest.
Each team, each season, there's a kind of a new storyline, something that maybe you 5 years from now, 10 years from now, remember looking back on the season. I know it's your first year with North Central, but looking back, even just in the limited time frame that you have looking back on the season, maybe what's the biggest storyline, the biggest thing that you'll remember about your first year at NCC?
I think it's definitely going to be meeting all of the new girls, just even like the pregame time in the locker rooms and like bus rides. I think we're always a team that's laughing and just having fun, so I think that's important to take with me, whether it's going to a new job or new classes. Meeting new people is definitely a skill you should have. So
that's a good perspective. And looking at Augustana, a team that's been so good the last couple of years, still undefeated, still in the Division III tournament, as we talked about with Coach. We heard about from Coach's perspective, maybe from a player's perspective, what makes the Vikings so tough?
I think they work well together as a team, and their focus it's really respectable. So I think if our team could image that, our focus and drive, we would definitely be Augustana's next competitor to look out for.
I think you guys are definitely on the right track. Fantastic season for you personally and for the team. We appreciate the time on the set here.
Thanks for having me.
We're all out of time. Thanks for watching. But as always, you can check out highlights of many NCC athletic programs at youtube.com/North Central Sports. And check out the rest of this season of the Cardinal Report archived in full at nctv17.com. I'm Justin Zipser. See you next time.